So like many of you, I was super excited about the Fresh Prince 30-year reunion special on HBO Max, and I'm just like, why not review it? Anywho, I've been watching the Fresh Prince. Like, I think I've seen every single episode as a kid, and I've seen a few as an adult. And it's just an iconic 90s show. Y'all know that I love everything involved with the 90s. This show, I think, like, out of like most of like the earlier 90s shows, like this one aged so well. I even want to say like this aged well the most, because some situations in the show still apply to today. And I also think it's less problematic stuff too. Like, I be watching like Girlfriends and Martin and the Wayans brothers, and I'm just like, they can't get away with this in 2020. But I feel like in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like it was just still a wholesome show, but still funny and relevant and important. Another reason why I love this show, I mean, Will Smith. Will Smith was that actor like in the 90s, 2000. I mean, he still is that actor, honestly. And Will Smith is without a doubt one of, if not the most successful rapper turned actor in history, I think. I think we can all agree on that. This reunion like just brought up so much nostalgia for me, and warning, you will need a tissue, like a whole tissue box. No one warned me. I didn't realize that I would get so emotional watching this, but yes, the tears were streaming down my face. I will get into that later. But yeah, this was such a good 1 hour. Like, it was just the perfect amount of time to go back and look at how great this show was. And it just gave me a warm feeling inside just watching. I feel like we need this in 2020. And I just cannot recommend it enough. I enjoyed it so much. It's not that long, y'all. It's like an hour and some change. Please watch it. So we opened the reunion with the episode's first date, and it premiered in 1990. I was 5 years old, and I thought the show lasted longer than 6 seasons, but it was only on for 6 years. And it was 149 episodes, I checked. And I'm guessing just because of the relevance and the syndication, that it just feels like this series has been like 300, 500 episodes. So we see Will Smith in the confessional, and he looks good. He looks fine. He's 52 years old. I will say though, it looks like he has a little hair dye in his head, but you know, we call it Beijing. I know Will's hair wasn't that jet black. He put some dye in it, but it looks good. Will looks really good. So then as he's talking, we're seeing like a lot of behind the scenes footage. We see a look back at the Fresh Prince and all of its like cultural impact. And while that's all playing, we hear like a little dramatic rendition on the piano of the show's theme song. Oh, it just sounds so good. I want to cry already, but yeah, it's starting out good already. Then we see the series' final episode where he's in that empty room looking around, and he goes to cut off the light. Then we cut to Will present day cutting on the light, and they recreated this set beautifully. It looks exactly how it did in 1990. Did I mention Will looks good? Will looks good. So then the rest of the cast comes, and oh my God, we got Tatiana, we got the actor that plays Jeffrey, we got Hillary, and I'm sorry y'all, I might call them their character names. I might, so just forgive me. Carlton looks good. DJ Jazzy Jeff looks good too. And y'all, I didn't realize how big of a deal DJ Jazzy Jeff is. He's like a legendary DJ. Like, I guess it went over my head when I was 5 years old. But yes, he looks good. The whole cast looks good. It's so nice to see them. Oh, also we have light skin Aunt Viv, or new Aunt Viv. What's her name? I think it's Catherine, is it? I don't know. It's new Aunt Viv. I might go from new Aunt Viv to old Aunt Viv. So y'all know going forward. So they all look great and they're happy to see each other. I'm wondering, like, did they see each other beforehand, or is this really the first time they're all together in the same room to get that, like, that real emotion on camera? I don't know. So they're gathered around and they're just talking about the show's inception and then the first pilot episode. So we see them playing some of the cast's old audition tapes, and we see Carlton, we see Hillary. Daddy, I need $300. Hi, Daddy, I need $300. We also get a fun fact that new Aunt Viv turned down the role of Vivian the first time. Didn't know that. Now, I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I guess I didn't know, or maybe I just forgot, that Quincy Jones was like the executive producer of the whole show, and he brought this idea to fruition. Now, I didn't know at all that this, like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, is based off of Benny Medina's life. Didn't know that. And if y'all don't know Benny Medina, I'm guessing he's been the manager to some of the most famous people in the world. So we're getting background information on the first episode and the pilot, and we see that the chemistry amongst the cast was just instant. We get a fun fact from Carlton, or Alfonso, about the Carlton dance. I think that's how you do it. That he just made it up. He just made it up at a whim. I also heard that he tried to copyright that dance and he failed at it. Oh well, but yeah, when I see someone do this, I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, I feel like I'm having a seizure right now. Anyway, I'm not gonna try that again. It's an iconic dance, y'all. Forgive me. You know, I gotta say, one of my favorite episodes of Fresh Prince was the episode where Hillary dropped out of college and didn't want to tell her dad, and then Will found out, and he basically made her his slave for like the week. She tried to get Carlton's help, and then he got on it and made her his slave as well, and they had to like do all this shit to her at the dinner table where she smacked Will upside the head, and she insulted Carlton. Like, that was one of my favorite episodes. But yeah, they're talking about more iconic moments from the show and the critical reception, how big it got. They're also talking about the racial importance of the show. And Carlton brought up a good point. I'm sorry, I keep saying Carlton. Alfonso brought up a good point that at that time, there were only 3 black shows on major network TV. And I believe it was Fresh Prince, Martin, and Family Matters. And I watched all of those. They also noted that the writers actually listened to them. Like, they listened to them like, oh, this is actually what would happen in a black family. Because, you know, they had white writers back then. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, most of the writers were white. But, yeah, like, they definitely heard the cast saying, like, oh, no, like, Ashley wouldn't say this to her dad. Like, she'd get her teeth knocked out. Y'all need to change this. So, it's good that they listen to the cast to make it more authentic. And I also just like how they just show, you know, black people in different lights, you know? Like, we aren't a monolith. Like, new Aunt Viv said. I'm going to Google her name after this. I think it's Catherine. And now we get to the James Avery segment, who played Uncle Phil. Like, just an iconic role, an iconic TV dad amongst all family shows. He was such a dignified actor. I also remember him playing the voice of Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When I was young, y'all, I was obsessed with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was. So yeah, it blew my mind when I found out Uncle Phil was the voice of Shredder. He was definitely the heart of the show. And just seeing how they just speak so highly of him and they respect him, it just speaks volume of his character. So Will brings up the dad episode from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where he gave one of his most dramatic performances. And he says that all he wanted to do throughout this show is impress James Avery, because he was this dignified actor and Will was just, you know, new at the time. And this was a time where he really had to like flex his acting muscles. This was the, how come you don't love me? Like that episode where his dad just like abandoned him at the last minute. So when he talks about this and then Will start crying, that's when it got me. That's when like the tears start coming, and then they dedicate this beautiful reel to James Avery, and then the whole cast starts crying. I'm just like, fuck. Like I ate an edible before I watched this. I shouldn't have, but it got me really emotional. I was just like, damn. Here I go. Well, I'm crying now. So the moment after they're real, like, it just gets really, really somber. And I'm just thinking to myself, how are they going to pick up the episode back from this? Because it's getting kind of sad. Like, this is supposed to be a joyous occasion. But I'm guessing they're just celebrating his life. And they just remember the good times. But yeah, it's getting a little somber. And I was thinking to myself, okay, we're 45 minutes in. Where's Janet Hubert? Where is she? And then surely enough, Will brings up the elephant in the room, which is Janet Hubert and her dramatic exit. And everyone's just like, oh shit, we really about to go there? And I agree with Will. Like, they could not do this reunion without making it right with Janet. And I'm just so glad that they had her a part of this. And I really hope that they paid her well too. Because apparently, like, you know, she lost everything after she lost that role. So we first see that Will met with Janet one-on-one. And I'm pretty sure that's not their first time meeting, like, so they can do that on camera. I think that would be a little dangerous. I think they had like a little talk over the phone, and then that's when they saw each other face to face. Like, this is huge, y'all. Y'all, like, if y'all didn't know, like, Janet Hubert was roasting Will on the daily. I'm not really sure what Will said about her, but I definitely know what she said about Will. And what she said about Carlton too. So yeah, they haven't spoken in 27 years. And just for them to be in the same room, it's just such a gargantuan deal. It really is. I think I cried throughout this entire dialogue. Like, back in the day, so the original Aunt Viv was there for 3 seasons and she left after that. And I was just thinking at the time, because I remember I was just like, oh, why did they get rid of her? And all I remember is Will looking to the camera all shady when I think when Jazz said, Aunt Viv, you look different. Yeah, I remember that part. But that was it. So we get a reel of the OG Aunt Viv, and yeah, this was my favorite Aunt Viv. I mean, she was just so classy, statuesque. She would get hood in a moment's notice. I mean, we all remember the dance scene that she did. So from her point of view, she said that she wasn't fired. She didn't accept the deal that they gave her. She was going through some personal shit at the time, so it affected her work. It affected how she treated people on the set. So I believe she took some accountability for what was happening, but she also said that afterward, like, not only was stuff going on in her personal life, they gave her a bad deal during the 3rd season and she just decided not to come back. So when she didn't like that deal, they was just like, okay, well, we're just going to replace you. And she couldn't really say anything. So yeah, she said that she lost everything. It was hard for her to get work. So yeah, like, I really felt bad for her. So as they're talking, Will admits his fault, you know, at the time. And he said, you know, I was young. He was 21 at the time. And I could see it from Janet's perspective too. She would probably be like, who is this little ingrate who can barely act like I am trained and this boy is telling me what to do? Like, I can just see from her perspective how it looks. She tells Will that after the show, she basically lost everything, and she just asks him why. Like, why did y'all go so hard on me? Like, when you said that I was difficult, that was basically the kiss of death to a black woman, especially a dark-skinned actress. Like, yeah, I can see that. Like, I don't remember seeing her in anything after The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So then we see they both apologize to each other, and man, the tears were streaming when I was watching this. It was just so powerful. You just see two people like having closure, and I was just thinking, damn, like 27 years they haven't seen each other and they just put this behind them. It made me think, like, maybe the arguments that I have with some people, like, you know, maybe I should extend the olive branch. And then I'm like, nah, no, I'm petty. But yeah, this was just so amazing to see. I just felt warm watching. Like, we really needed this in 2020. We really did. This was really nice to see. It just felt genuine. And I really hope they compensate her, like, well. Like, just give her something. Let's give her her flowers, because she really did, in the beginning make the show. Well, she was a contributing factor to what the show was. So after they watch the reel between Will and Janet, he tells the rest of the cast, about the closure that they had, and, will they feel comfortable if she came in to say hello to everybody. And that's when Aunt Viv walks in. She gives everybody a hug. And then seeing both Aunt Vivs together, like, that's the present. That's the present of 2020 given to us. Because that is something I thought I would never see in my lifetime. It's that big of a deal. Now, two things I got from this scene, because I was confused. Maybe y'all can put that under the comments for me. One, if y'all notice, Carlton was not there. I'm not sure if he just couldn't forgive, but he definitely wasn't in that scene. And two, I was wondering, how come they just didn't keep Janet for the rest of the episode? Now, Janet went on Twitter recently and said, well, Carlton was at work that day, or she wasn't there on set. But again, I'm just wondering, how come Carlton even would miss one day, and it just so happened to be the day that Janet comes on set? So that's just one odd thing I saw. And secondly, I'm guessing that they filmed different days, or I'm guessing they were just wearing like the same thing and they filmed over 2 days. I don't know. Like, the editing in that was a little shaky, but that was my only gripe with this reunion, because I was just like, I was kind of confused by that. So I'm guessing Janet left. So she's no longer in this for the rest of the episode. But then as Will's talking, we see the actor surprise everybody, the one that played Nikki from, I'm guessing, season 6, I want to say. And yeah, I'm not sure what he's been doing. I don't know his name, but that's the actor that played Nikki. Yeah, he looks good. He looks good. Moving on. So afterwards, the special just starts to wind down, and we get more behind the scenes footage and audience interactions. And lastly, they're all discussing the day of the last episode of the series. So then as they're talking about it, they all get into a huddle and embrace. And I was just thinking, damn, I didn't think I would be this emotional watching. Like, honestly, like, once they get to the James Avery portion, it's tears for the rest of the episode. Like, the whole second half, you will be crying, just to let you know. So then after the last episode's acknowledgement, we see the credits rolling, and we see Will, he's like performing the original. So once they finish acknowledging the show's series finale, we get Will in the credits performing the original theme song, of course, and they couldn't do this reunion without Alfonso doing the signature Carlton dance. And I said I wasn't going to do it, but I was trying to reenact it, and I can't. But yeah, and that's where the reunion ends. And I gotta say, that was just so enjoyable. I think all the reunions should be like this. I want the Martin reunion. I want the Family Matters reunion. I want the Living Singles reunion. They really set the precedents, and y'all really need to see it. It's on HBO Max. Please tell me how y'all liked it in the comments. Otherwise, yeah, I will see y'all soon. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me, CDIGGI1 on Twitter and Instagram. And I will see y'all for the next video. Bye.